we got in this country massive COVID fatigue for good reason. We're headed on 2 years in March. In April, Flint is headed into year 8 of its pandemic. Because to be clear, and this is a question, a lot of people think this is over because the media has fed a lot of, frankly, not accurate data to make it seem like, oh no, the water's fine in Flint. It's meeting EPA regulations. It's been meeting EPA regulations for years. Everything's, now it's an issue of trust, but the actual water itself is fine. Can you tell people 8 years into your pandemic, because April is 8 years, is the water safe in Flint? Can you also tell people how are residents' health? Because frankly, a lot of people don't realize the full effects of heavy metal poisoning, which from lead, also other contaminants that were in their water. You don't just die the next day. It takes years, and people get worse and worse over those years. So let's start with, what is the actual quality and safety of the water right now?
Well, we can't say it's safe. We can pretty much say it's unsafe for the exact reason of the fact that our water, while they're blending it, so we have no clue what's happening. But whatever water they're sending to us, whether it's safe or not from the get, doesn't matter, because it's going through still damaged, corroded, contaminated distribution mains through the streets to get to our service lines, which not even all of the lead and galvanized service lines are replaced. None of the copper ones are replaced. And then inside our homes, no one is replacing our pipes in our homes, our fixtures, appliances, anything that's been corroded by the water. So no, the problem hasn't been fixed. We had to sue to get the lead and galvanized steel service lines replaced, which is still going on because of political mess and dragging feet and this and that. And we've gone back and forth to court so many times that it's just been wonderful. But we can't even get that part done. But it doesn't matter. That's just a clean straw. The distribution mains taking it to our service lines are corroded. They're rupturing in the streets. You've seen the big Olympic pool size holes and sinkholes in the street because water from the ruptured mains are just running. Houses are sinking. Roofs are caving. Roofs are cracking. And then we also have corroded infrastructure inside our houses. And we didn't do this. The state did it, the city did it. All these people, the governor, his office, they made these decisions. Whoever else was involved, who joined the profit-making party that led to our poisoning and destruction of our infrastructure and our homes and our businesses, they're not being held accountable, and they're not fixing what they broke. The simple rule. Now, onto us physically. So, lead, high copper, tin, aluminum, chromium, PFAS, total trihalomethanes, disinfection byproducts, carcinogens, bacteria, human pathogens, all these things that have been found in our water. All these things that have been found in our water. They leave lovely after effects. One, boys who are lead poisoned in their youth. It's stored in their bones, their DNA gets changed. They can pass their lead poisoning down to their sons. That's 3 generations of lead poisoning. Lowered IQ, lower ability to make decisions, more emotional. They don't have that regulation in their brains. Lots of ADD and ADHD in adults and kids have been diagnosed. We have a lot of autism, actually. There has been a lot of autism that's been diagnosed in our younger babies and our kids, and they got to live with that forever. And we don't have enough resources for the autism treatments. There's cancer clusters in Flint. Of someone particularly who has had thyroid and throat cancer. I know people who have had lung cancer. I got to deal with my own cancer deal this past year. One of those things when you come out of surgery and they're like, oh, you could have died. Awesome. With all these things. And the thing is that, you're a normal, regular person just trying to live your regular life. And yet you're sitting across from all these specialists and they're saying, we don't know why this happened. Why is my body different than somebody else who's just like me in another community, in a wealthy white community that's not poisoned? Well, duh. When you my neurologist told me when my seizures began, that when you throw metals into an electrical system, that's why you don't put a fork in an electrical outlet, it causes things to go haywire. And your brain, it does what it can to work around it. So I don't have epilepsy, but I got a seizure disorder. That's awesome to deal with. The hand tremors, the memory loss, the untreated, the layered ongoing trauma, and the moral injury of the city and state assuring me that the water was safe and fine. So I cooked with it and I gave it to my kids thinking I was doing the healthiest thing for my kids. Don't give them pop, don't give them this. But now I'm looking at my kids who don't have much for an immune system. They can't get really their white blood cell counts above 4. They're tired all the time. Their growth plates have closed prematurely, which means their growth plates in their neck that go all the way down to their feet that open and are soft and spongy for between ages 9 to 14 and beyond, that allow their ligaments and muscles to grow with their bones, closed prematurely. So my sons are hunched over. They've had to go through several rounds of physical therapy so somebody could pull and force their joints or their ligaments and their muscles to stretch. So they're in constant pain. And what are you going to do about that with a kid? I'm not going to give him narcotics. No, and what good does that do anyways? It doesn't fix the problem. I have a son that now has a endocrine problem. And so they're looking at it and they're like, well, this isn't normal for his age. Why is this happening? But that's what we continue to hear. In 2014, the fall of 2014, my 10-year-old at that time got pneumonia. Not normal. My 11-year-old at that time fell off his bike and his wrist splintered. He drank a lot of milk. Why did that happen? Why were his bones weak? Oh, well, now we know because we found out after it later because they were hiding it, and the city and state knew, the governor's office knew that Legionnaires was going out there, that spiking historical high, record-breaking numbers. Because they could have prescribed my kids, they could have gotten the antibiotics. The people that died could have gotten the right antibiotics, could have got treated and survived. We could have done what we needed to do to prevent that from happening. But they didn't. So now we get to face these health consequences. A good friend of ours, you know him quite well, he is on a vent, and because his lungs got damaged, there were spots. They had found issues with his lungs, not because of smoking, but because of inhaling God knows what in our showers, and drinking high level. He had sky high levels of lead and copper in his house. In my heavy metals, and he's on a ventilator, and been there since Christmas Eve.
And to be clear, you're currently being treated for cancer.
Yeah, and then the fact that in a few days it'll be a year since I had a heart monitor implanted, because the organs that didn't get damaged, my heart and lungs, really didn't get wrecked by the water crisis so bad to where it scarred it. COVID got it, because guess what? In late February, early March, I had pneumonia that wouldn't go away, that the antibiotics wouldn't treat, because once again, the government was lying, saying that there was no COVID in the United States, there wasn't here yet. And I'm like, oh, I just somehow must have got pneumonia and an ear infection. But I have a permanent hearing loss because my 8th cranial nerve was damaged. And I got a heart monitor in, and they still, my heart's damaged, my lungs are damaged. I have to have an inhaler twice a day, and then I have an emergency inhaler, and then I have a button I push when my heart rate decides to go either way too fast or way too slow for my activities. I just had my checkup at the cardiologist, and I have a heart of a much older smoking person, somebody who's not as healthy as I try to be, because again, I have to cook at home because I had intestinal damage. That too. I had polyps twice now removed from my stomach, which that happens. There's genetic disorders that I actually don't have. Or you take too many NSAIDs, things like that, which I'm allergic to NSAIDs, so I don't take them. Or H. pylori, which is a bacteria you can pick up through contaminated water. So I've had polyps removed from my stomach twice now since 2015, and now I have a bleeding ulcer, which you'd think, oh, it's from stress. No, it's can be caused by the things that I don't have, or H. pylori, which means, oh my God, all that water I was drinking to be healthy, to work out, to make sure that I'm gonna be healthy, never smoked, whatever, to make sure that that's all good. And it doesn't matter. Got a bleeding ulcer that feels like very painful. But what's interesting is that the cancer and all of the other issues that were going on in my abdomen, didn't know about, was covering the pain of the ulcer. So if anybody's had an ulcer, the pain that I was having before that was so great that I didn't even know that I had a bleeding full of acid ulcer gut. So it's exhausting. And so to hear that the Wall Street Journal is saying, oh no, we can't let Governor Snyder, and even if I was selfish and I only cared about me, now mind you, I'm a social worker, and my clients are all Flint residents, and what I'm going through is nothing compared to what they're going through. So let's just put it that way. And to hear people be like, no, we can't let this man who was in charge of all this, who made all the decisions, who literally said on TV, the buck stops with me, and that he was sorry and he was going to help fix Flint, and you're begging to get him out of being held accountable for the things he's done to my city, to my family, to my friends in the hospital. When I was, and then even when I had surgery, I had to be sent out early, discharged early, because there was 3 of us in my room and recovering because the hospitals are full, you know. And I know that's happening everywhere, but yeah, we the people we've lost went down fast. And
to be clear, pre 2014, so before you consumed this water, you didn't have any major health issues.
No, I didn't. I had, I was actually, I took my vitamins. I rarely saw my doctor except for annual checkups. And I was working out 4 to 5 days a week and working with a nutritionist. So I was healthy. And, you know, I had been doing that for a couple of years. And yeah, I put on weight. My muscles are gone. My awesome looking muscles that made my tattoos look great were gone. My stamina is gone, obviously. I mean, that's literally, I mean, I worked, I mean, I worked, I raised my 3 sons plus my husband and my, you know, my 2-year-old niece at the time. I was a tour manager. I managed, you know, 6 bands, put on concerts. I was always on the go. I did PR marketing for 6 different or 5 different radio stations. And so I was always on the go, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, mind you, I didn't pay for bottled water to go to the gym. Why would I do that? My water was fine. They've assured me that my water was fine because unfortunately my water was clear. It hadn't, you know, changed colors at the time, but everybody said, hey, your water's clear, you're fine. Wrong. Though what they didn't tell you is that, you know, PFAS, lead, and the disinfection byproducts, they don't have a color. I had no idea. So as I filled up my jug to take with me to the gym 4 to 5 days a week and drank a gallon to a gallon and a half a day, depending on where I was at in my workout schedule of my tap water. Yeah, I had no idea. Same thing with giving it to my kids. They're outside playing, running around. Here you go, guys. Here's some cold ice water. Great. So now they get to live with that forever. I get to live with this forever. Fairly certain none of this extended my life. It surely made my quality of life trash. And you know, I feel like I'm in my 90s, you know, that kind of thing. And that there's people like me that are suffering, and that we might lose more people that we love because, once again, politics and profit were more important than people and public health.